Tabitha lay restlessly beneath her soft pink bed sheets, shifting back and forth, her long, straight brown hair spilling over her shoulders and reaching down to the middle of her back. Her eyes, a steely mix of blue and grey, opened to the dim room, reflecting a quiet glint of frustration. She wore a loose grey-blue vest and a pair of light, almost white, pants that hung comfortably on her lean frame, her body slender and unremarkable, her silhouette softened in the low light. "Ugh, I'm so thirsty," she muttered, her voice barely above a whisper, breaking the silence of the night. Propping herself up on her elbows, she let out a sigh, reaching for the glass of milk she'd left on her nightstand. Sitting up, she held the glass to her lips and tilted it, her eyes closing as the cold liquid slid down her throat. Glug, glug, glug. The milk was gone too soon. "Not enough," she murmured to herself, still feeling the dryness in her throat. In search of more, she slipped out of bed and padded across the cool, tiled floor toward the small kitchen in her dorm. As she approached the fridge, the soft hum of its motor filled her ears, and the gentle blue glow, from inside, poured out as she opened the door, illuminating her figure in the otherwise dark room. Something to drink. She scanned the shelves. "Yes, milk," she said excitedly, her voice carrying a strange, hungry edge. Wrapping both hands around the large milk carton, she pulled it out of the fridge, surprised at how heavy it felt. Unscrewing the cap, she wasted no time, raising the carton to her lips. Gulp, gulp, gulp. The milk spilled over her chin, a cool rivulet sliding down her neck and pooling on her collarbone, seeping into her shirt as she drank deeply, heedless of the mess. Her grip slipped slightly, and she stumbled back, falling onto the cool floor. Carton still held tight, her lips pressed around the opening as she continued to chug greedily. As she emptied the last drops, she let the carton tumble to the floor beside her, panting softly, a pleased, dazed giggle escaping her lips. She barely noticed the tiny grey ears beginning to poke out from her hair, which itself was slowly fading from brown to a soft, smoky grey. Tabitha's eyes fluttered open, and she realised, a bit dreamily, that her shirt was soaked, clinging to her skin. A sudden urge overtook her as she spotted the small puddle of milk that had formed beside her. Without thinking, she leaned down, pressing her lips to the floor, her tongue darting out as she licked up the spilt milk. A strange warmth bubbled up inside her as she did, and her stomach let out a low growl, urging her on. She moaned softly as a warmth spread through her chest. Her small, flat form began to press outward, her vest straining as her breasts swelled, growing fuller, heavier, until they brushed against the cool floor beneath her. She hardly noticed, lost in the moment, as her hips began to widen, a fullness spreading across her body, giving her frame a voluptuous, curving shape. Her back arched as she felt an odd prickling sensation near the base of her spine, and with a soft, satisfying pop, a tail pushed its way through her pants, swishing eagerly behind her. Her pants began to strain, struggling against the growing curves of her hips and thighs, until, with a sharp rip, they tore away, falling to the floor in pieces, as a soft layer of grey, tabby-patterned fur began to spread across her legs. Tabitha let out a soft, playful growl as she rolled onto her back, her now grey furred tail swishing beside her. She stretched, feeling her newfound curves pressing against the cold floor, a thrill rushing through her body as she became more aware of her transformation, her senses sharper, her instincts tingling. The last remnants of her clothes fell away, leaving her bare, her body covered in sleek fur patterned in soft stripes. Her face grew softer, cheeks rounding as her nose flattened slightly, taking on a delicate, feline shape. Her eyes glinted with a new golden hue, pupils narrowing into playful slits, as her gaze drifted around the room.